I'm going to show you a lapped zipper. And so a lapped zipper is exactly what it says. One side laps over the other. And you only see the top stitching on one side. The other stitching should be very close to the fold. And this is used on the side of a skirt or a pair of pants. But it also can be used in center front if there was a zipper going down the front of a dress or a back. And I'm showing you the way it would be on a garment. And so it's the top side that should have the top stitching, or in other words, this left side as you look at this. I've stitched up to where the zipper will go, and the way I made that decision was the metal part down here on the zipper should come to where the stitching is, and the opening should be the length of the zipper tape, like you see. My method of doing this is to have a 5/8 inch seam and press one side back at 5/8 and the other side a more narrow, and let's say about 3/8. But the easiest thing for doing this is to make a clip just slightly below where it is sewed up to. So you can see I've cut into the seam allowance there, and I'm going to press this side more narrow. So you see how I'm folding over that seam allowance right here so that it's, it's only 3/8 of an inch, and when I do the stitching on the top side, this is going to be absolutely hidden. Okay, let's put the clapper on that so that it gets a good press. The fabric I'm using is kind of bouncy. It's wool, but I do believe it also has some hair fibers in it. So you see how that's underneath, and that's going to be placed very close to the zipper tape. So, like this, I'll be pinning it in. I've pinned the side that's very close to the zipper, and I've started down here below the metal stopper, and you can see that fold is tucked right up next to the teeth. Look at how I've put the pins at a diagonal. I don't know why it works so much better at the diagonal, but to get the pins through zipper tape, through fabric and everything, for me, it's just always worked best this way. So that's my habit. When you are going to put a zipper in, you have to have a zipper foot. So you take off the regular presser foot. This is the way it works on my machine here. And I'll put in the zipper foot. My zipper foot is on, but if I lower my needle, it'll hit the zipper foot. On this particular machine, we just transfer the needle to one side or the other so that we're not hitting that foot. I'm going to be stitching on this side of the zipper, so let me move the needle to the right side with this knob. I've lowered the presser foot so that the stitching is going to be about 1/8 of an inch from the fold. So I'm starting actually below where the metal slider, the metal stopper is on the zipper foot. I'll give a couple stitches to secure it, and then just pull the pins out as I come to them. I promise you that if there's any time in your construction that you are going to hand baste, it should be with a zipper. The zipper may not be just perfect top stitching because I am winging it without any marks or basting or anything. When I get to where it's going to be a little difficult to go around the metal slider, I lift my presser foot, keep my needle in, and move the slider down. So then I can just progress easily. Okay, let's take a look. You can see that the stitching I've just done is actually underneath where this top stitching is going to be, and it's so very close to the zipper. Let's fold this part up, maybe this angle for you, and bring it over to where that top stitching that I've just completed is covered. Be sure not to pull it too far. Sometimes students are trying to do such a good job and they scoot it over just a little too far. I'm going to put the pins in where my fingers can feel underneath here that it will be catching the zipper tape. Okay, I could be basting this so that the fold was just at the right place, but I'm just taking a look and holding it there, putting the pins in so that I can see and feel that's correct. Okay, let's go on up here. So we've got the pins in, so the zipper tape is held in place. This is going to want to move around and not be caught, so let's move it over here. Get that little tail so it'll be caught there. Like that. I'm going to sew from the bottom to the top. I'll go across the bottom there. I want to make sure that this tail is caught, and I'll put a pin right there so I know that's where the tail is and that I could be going across there. I for sure do not want to go across right where that metal stopper is, so I'll be a little bit below. I've pinned the other side. I've made sure that it's going to come over and cover the stitching that I did first. I've checked to see that the pins are holding the zipper tape in the back there, and we'll sew from the bottom to the top. But we need to move the needle to the other side because we want the zipper foot over here. So needle up to its highest position so that we can pop the needle position over there. That means the zipper foot is to the right. Let's go across the bottom where I have it pinned. Hold my threads there. And this time, it's top stitching that'll show. So I will just go to very short stitches and secure the threads that way instead of back stitching. You don't want a lot of thread showing for top stitching like this is. So very short stitches, or like I show you, just dancing the needle in one place is a very good way to secure your stitches. This would be so smart to have basted a stitching line or to have measured over with my seam gauge and put a little dot that I could follow for top stitching. But I didn't do that. Let me take one more stitch here so that I can see that it's going to come straight here. So this top stitching should be approximately 1/2 inch over from the fold. And because I didn't baste, look what I'm doing to compensate. My fingers are holding the folded side because the presser foot's going to want to push it over and have the zipper show. In fact, you could even see how the presser foot wants to create a little bubble there in my fabric. See that? And this is a very thick, spongy fabric. So notice how if I lift my presser foot and let the fabric relax, I have better control. But I promise you, basting would have made a huge difference on this. Onto the slider. So needle down, presser foot up, move the slider down, and then I can come on straight up. Notice how my hands are helping to control the fabric. See that little bubble there? Let's just see if we can cause it not to show when it's stitched all the way. This is what I've just stitched as a lapped zipper. It's caught on both sides. Here's where the seam opens underneath where the zipper is. There's that little clip, and we make sure that this works.